Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Star vs. the Force of Evil, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
And Alex Bonilla.
Annyeong.
Aww. Very
good.
appropriate.
Yeah, solid. Okay. Today we'll be talking, as Alex alluded to, the March 31st episodes of Star vs. the Force of Evil, Bam Ui Pati and Tough Love that were up, that aired on Disney XD this morning, and also on the Disney app. We talk Star every week here on the Overly Animated Podcast, twice a week for the Season 3B. Find us at overlyanimated.com or search for Overly Animated Star on iTunes or subscribe there. YouTube, subscribe on YouTube to not miss any of our future Star podcasts. Make sure you check out these episodes. Big episode at the end, at least 2 minutes of big stuff happening. So make sure you check out Bam Ui Pati and Tough Love. But let's get into it. Michelle, what did you think of these episodes?
I feel kind of weird about them, to be completely honest.
Weird, a little wild, right?
Things happen. And a lot of things happened in Tough Love, but I don't know. They had a weird vibe, and I feel like part of it stems from things we've talked about before. How the show is trying so hard to be zany, but sometimes it doesn't really feel organic. And I feel like that's a continuing problem. And I'm getting a little more concerned about it just being a thing that's going to exist for the rest of the season now. And that's a little unfortunate. There are a lot of standout moments, I think, in each of these. I do think Tough Love might be stronger of the two. But I still feel kind of weird about him as a whole. Yeah.
That's appropriate for the show. Weird.
To feel weird?
Yeah.
But not
a weird show.
Kind of weird, an ambivalent, what do I do with this kind of weird?
Okay.
I feel like that's not as good.
Yeah, I do think a lot of episodes are intend you to take away, what is this? I think that's
I feel like it should still be kind of clear, though, at the same time.
I think that's kind of the intended reaction of Tough Love, but yeah, I get what you're saying. We'll delve into that. Alex, what did you think of these episodes?
Look, Tough Love is the best episode of the season so far, okay? This episode was amazing.
What?
Eclipsa is a darling. I love her so much. And I think the episode does great at blending little sprinkles of humor. I never think that it overdoes it in that episode in particular, along with the whole emotionalness of seeing Eclipsa coming to terms with the fact that her daughter is like this and what Moon is doing, seeing that chemistry, and then having Eclipsa and Meteora actually talk to each other. That was all incredible to watch. And the climax was amazing. The entire episode was just great. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I needed a half hour to digest everything. But yeah, the Tough Love was an incredible episode for sure. Bam Ui Pati is whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, says the pony head hater. Unsurprised.
Push back against the Tough Love being amazing. What about that prolonged peasant sequence when he's just rambling and then rolls down the hill and
me humble cottage. Yeah.
What was that? I feel like that guy overstayed its welcome.
I like that a lot more than the pigeon stuff. Than the pigeon stuff. Yeah. That was
even the pigeon stuff, I was kind of not as high on.
The pigeon stuff I enjoyed. I would be inclined to agree with you that the peasant sequence is probably the weakest part of that episode, but it felt short enough to me, where I could just brush it off.
That's fair.
Yeah, look, I love the enthusiasm about Tough Love. I think it's an important, I assume that's a take that a lot of the fandom's gonna be having, so I think that's a good opinion to be represented. Personally, Tough Love to me is 9 minutes of zany, what Michelle is saying, just nonsense stuff, and then it's 2 minutes of really cool plot stuff, and that's a pretty indicative of what the show has been. Literally, the stuff that happens in Tough Love is literally 2 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. And that's I would take the big dramatic moments in the previous week's episodes over the big dramatic moments at the end. I love that stuff was happening. I just connected more to the Meteor stuff in Schooled. Definitely. It's I must take Schooled a lot over Tough Love, but, I still like that stuff happens. I think, Bam Ui Pati, if you can get over that this is the week before the finale and this is a Ponyhead episode, then I think it's a good Ponyhead episode. And I think that it's, very funny. It's a little tough to swallow right before the finale, but I do like that one.
I don't think it is a good episode, though.
I'll go over all the parts I liked. I think it's solid. Certainly last week's episodes, in my opinion, were better than these. And the big thing is that heading into the finale, I haven't had a top tier episode from season 3B. That's pretty rough. Just zero. And I don't know what to do with that. I think Schooled has been the closest, but at the very least, exciting stuff happening at the end of Tough Love that we're going to get into. So let's start with that episode. Because I think that there's a lot of stuff at the end, and these 2 minutes, and what happens to Moon is probably the number one highlight. She kind of has her soul stolen, half soul by.
I thought it was just like an eye thing. Is her soul gone? Is that what that means?
Well, like in that episode, they show that everybody who got their souls taken away had the black eyes. Like,
oh, that's true.
So you would think that's one way to interpret it.
There's two factors. One, they have their eyes taken, and two, they're floating up, and Moon does float.
Well, she also has wings at that point. She's in her.
Right, but she's not like flying. She floats up. It definitely indicates that like before you see her eyes, you're like, oh man, her soul is gone. 100%.
Oh, that's true. She does look like she's like unconscious.
She's floating,
hovering.
and then you see, and then it's just one eye, and the other eye is still butterfly form, and she does have she is able to take action. So it seems like, at least what this episode presents, she's half dead, half half butterfly form. Yeah.
And we have the third factor of Eclipsa activating that curse from however many years ago. So, like that also throws a wrench into what in the world is going on.
I didn't remember this at all. So, Alex, get into the curse from Moon the Undaunted.
Yeah, that they make a deal, and I don't think we see the results there, but when we cut back, once they've defeated Toffee, Moon starts showing those veins after she's used the butterfly form, and she's like, oh no, and she just runs off to go find Eclipsa, if I recall. I know that the show made it clear that it's connected to Eclipsa somehow, and that's like a side effect of whatever deal they made behind closed doors.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't.
Michelle, do you remember this?
It wasn't a side effect of the deal. It was a side effect of Eclipsa giving her the curse that could, defeat Toffee. And when she used that to cut off his finger, like she didn't use it a lot, which is why like the veins didn't probably consume her whole body. Just like they start creeping up her arms. But it wasn't so much about like her butterfly form or anything. It was just like that spell linked to Toffee more than anything. So that's why I was wondering, like, what is she using? Is Eclipsa using that same spell here? Or is it just different, but it's also like her own special dark magic? And anytime her special dark magic in general is used, the veiny thing happens. It's a little unclear, but I feel like that's what they're going for.
So in Moon the Undaunted, I really don't remember this, to be honest, so I'm reading stuff, but she apparently used the Moon used the spell that Eclipsa gave her, and it caused these magic veins to happen. Is that correct? Okay. Yeah. So in this episode, it seems like Eclipsa is the one where the veins originate from when she tries to stop Moon. Is that right?
Well, yeah, they both show it in that scene.
Yeah,
like,
I think it like
the veins
right. I think
up.
it like propagates from. Let me watch this. I think it like propagates from Eclipsa and goes into Moon. Is that right? Oh, it's like both. It kind of comes from both of their hands touching at once, and then it goes through both of their arms, the magic veins. Yeah, I really didn't understand what was happening here.
It was just so visually enchanting. Like even
I think that's what they're banking on. Yeah.
Even if I didn't understand what was going on, I was like, "This is amazing." No matter what, I'll take like waiting till next episode to figure out what actually happened. But like right now, I'm just taking it in.
Yeah.
Because to me, the state that Moon is left in after Meteora attacks her, the half butterfly, half soul dead, doesn't need to involve this magic veins thing at all. I think it makes sense because she's in the butterfly form and then she gets hit with the soul destroying thing. So that makes sense that she's half butterfly, half this. Like, how do the veins play into the state that she's left in?
I don't know for sure, because I think like in that very moment where she's doing it, it's more that's a reflection of the power that she's using to keep Moon from shooting at Meteora, rather than it affecting the event Meteora's beam at Moon.
Yeah, it seemed like something Eclipsa is doing to just kind of like hold her in place, but also stop her from attacking Meteora.
Yeah, I guess it's not that.
hurting
It's not
her?
that.
Yeah.
I guess it's not that narratively important. It's just that this is a representation of like Eclipse's magic and power. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
But potentially. I mean, we don't really know. To me, this is frustrating that it's been 20 episodes and this came up again and it's not really explained yet. We're doing like Rich Pigeon stuff, but I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, that happens. And yeah. Okay. So Alex, what's your take on half butterfly, half dead moon at the end here?
I think it's cool. Also, I guess we should talk about the fact that she opens this big portal that's very similar to the portal that Star opens in her sleepwalking state to go into the realm of magic. So that's probably leading us down a path where she's going back there to heal herself, or like the guardians of that realm know what's wrong with her, or whatever. Since I assume this isn't a thing that's happened very often in magic history, so. I'm interested to see what goes on there, and presumably Star, since she's the only one that we've seen that actually went there, the Star is going to have to go get Moon out or whatever. So seeing Star and Moon interact and talk about what happened will also be an interesting sight to see, and if Moon is just normal or not, because I think her voice when like she gives that I don't even think she says anything, but her voice doesn't sound affected. So I wonder if it is just that like she's corrupted physically, but not that much mentally yet. I don't know.
My read is that she's stuck in the butterfly form, so I don't think Star.
I don't know if she's stuck in that form or not.
It is possible she could turn it off. We don't really see. She has the butterfly eye. When Star is in her butterfly form, she's not herself. So I'm not convinced that our Moon is in there right now. If she's like forced to be half butterfly and
I feel like Queen Moon has really good control because she knows she can like turn into butterfly form whenever she wants, and Star has struggled with that for so long. I think that was part of the issue because Star's a lot younger. She hasn't had the time to really hone that ability to her will yet. So it kind of like controlled her for a while, but even that was resolved earlier in the season. So.
But also, Moon is in a bit of an altered state, so who knows how much control she actually has.
If she's like half dead, I guess it's like a different scenario, but I don't know. I still feel like she could turn it off.
I think her leaving would imply that she isn't really in control. I don't think that my read on it wasn't that she left because she needs to go, like she's consciously trying to go heal herself. I think she just left because this is what butterfly forms do, because that was similar to what Star did in like the deep dive stuff with the realm of magic. She just kind of went there on her own. So I think that's what was kind of happening with Moon. Although it is possible that she's acting of her own volition. We don't really know.
Yeah, we don't know enough about how this works in general outside of Star to decide, like, is this normal or is this like an emergency fight or flight response? It's hard to say either way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe the bigger question is like, can Moon ever be the same again?
Yeah, no, definitely.
What do you mean? What do you mean definitely? Her soul is half dead.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, can she just go heal herself? And I say that because like I thought Ponyhead not having a horn was gonna be this big deal, and it was gonna like maybe permanently be a thing for the rest of the show, and how she has to deal with like having like losing this part of her. But no, they just 3D printed a new horn in the same episode, and now she's totally the same.
I was impressed with that. I actually thought that she would just regrow her horn or something. But practically there's no difference. But she's never gonna have her original horn again. So I thought that was kind of cool that we kept those stakes.
But we didn't keep the stakes because the new horn's functioning exactly the same, and it looks the same.
Okay, we'll get
now,
into
can
that.
she shoot beams out of that horn?
Probably
though?
because it
I think
charged
so.
up.
She lit it up with pink magic right after it got attached.
Pink
so I feel like it's gonna be exactly the same.
Yeah,
as horn.
But back to Moon. I think that this is probably a big deal that her soul has been half stolen. I think that there's reasons to believe that she might never return to the state that she was in before. I think that the show has shown a desire to limit its cast. We've written off other characters. There's maybe a desire to get Star into power for a long period of time.
Another path we could take, like going back to deep dive, is that, right? The moon, it maybe gets healed in the realm of magic, but decides, well, Star, you're more qualified than I am at this point to solve things. You do it. I'll be here healing while you do all the hard stuff.
That's true. That could definitely happen.
Yeah, I mean, even if she gets healed, doesn't heal, I think the important thing is if she's like her same presence on the show. And I think the big factor that would be for her being healed is, one, the realm of magic, which seems like it can do anything, and two is Star's butterfly form. If she can Star's butterfly form seems like it can do anything too. So there's definitely reason to believe that the magic that we've seen presented with Star and the realm of magic could change Moon back. But there was definitely a second where we thought Moon was dead, which had been a source of speculation because of the season 4 description, which Moon's doesn't seem to be in the picture. So I don't know if I don't know what's gonna happen here. I'm not expecting her to return to her normal state in the finale.
It would be an interesting move if we avoid this going back to status quo for longer than that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I think that's probably the baseline. Like, we only have an hour of episodes left. It would be a lot to heal. And then again, deep dive, Realm of Magic, 11 minutes accomplishes a lot. So we will see. But we also have to deal with the Meteora army stuff. I feel like that's maybe the A, and the Star finding Moon might be the B. The finale promo indicates that potentially Star will go and try to find Moon, but who knows if that's just the initial state of things or if that's like the entire finale. But yeah, let's talk Meteora, because this episode is about chasing her, and she's left the path of destruction, and she has magic and is able to steal people's souls. So this seems
she has a lot of powers going on. Yeah.
Well, first, where did she get magic from?
Well, if she's actually Eclipsa's daughter, and we're going with magic can be hereditary, then that would explain
right,
things.
which is not even clear from the show, but yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's because we kind of always thought that the butterflies just had the wand, and that's why they had magic. But yeah, it's possible that that's true of Star and Moon, because they're not real genetic butterflies. But yeah, she's as she states, she's rightfully in line for the throne, and she seems like a big force here. What do we think, Michelle? What do you think of Meteora going into the finale as our big villainous force?
I mean, that seems like what's happening. I do think this show is trying to make her a little more empathetic, and we got that especially this episode when Eclipsa tries to comfort her, but then it all goes south, especially when Moon gets involved, and so now she's probably more distrustful than ever. But, I mean, I do think we're setting her up as, like, the maybe temporary villain, in quotation marks. I will say also, because we've been on the fence a lot about, like, Eclipsa's potential ulterior motives. But she seems like
we'll
she's
talk about that in a
like,
second. Yeah,
right
that's the next topic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alex, what are you excited by Meteora as the villain coming into the finale?
I think they've done better with fleshing out Meteora, especially with this episode. I'm not really a fan of making her doing the whole she's getting bigger, because like that you're leaning into her just being even more of a monster, like less able to be reasoned with. And unless they find a way to bring her back to normal size, it lessens the possibilities that she could potentially remain in the show past the finale, which I know we think it's not really that much of a possibility, but I would have liked to see something where like Meteora is part of the human monster, reconciliation process. But when we're going to this whole, like, basically she's Godzilla, like, I don't know how much room there is for that. But as a character, Meteora is definitely interesting. I just love her interactions with Eclipsa. Like, oh, are you my mama? Like, it's all very, it feels innocent in a way, even though you see what's in front of you, like, not being innocent at all. And just that the final fight like makes her menacing, like Meteora and Moon going at it, and Meteora essentially winning, which is a big thing. So I do think that this is setting up for Meteora to be a force to be reckoned with in the finale.
Yeah, I agree. More of a force to be reckoned with than like a straight up villain, maybe.
Yeah, at least it's not Mina. But it seemed like Meteor was about to win until Eclipsa stepped in saying "I love you," and then Moon was about to win until Eclipsa again stepped in. So it's kind of unclear.
It was a back and forth for sure.
Yeah.
I agree that I think Star's human monster reconciliation plot was much more interesting than this potential all-out war between Meteor's monsters, and although, for the record, we haven't seen her recruit monsters yet, and the butterfly royal family. This is that's the most interesting thing in the finale to me, is how Star is going to handle this potential monster attacking them conflict when she really wants to reconcile the two sides. I hope that still comes into play, and it's not just that she's Godzilla. Yeah. What I liked about the Meteora in this episode is that she's still heinous. I like that she still has Haynes's voice, Jessica Walters still voicing her, and she still seemed like Haynes. She had her memories of Haynes. That, I feel she's just not just completely gone as a monster. I think that really emotionally connects us to her, because we made a lot of progress in that regard. Even though she was a nothing character before this, in Schooled, I think we made a lot of progress towards being sympathetic towards Haynes. So I like the presentation here and her interactions with Eclipsa. Yeah.
I guess that is something worth knowing. They didn't really play up the whole monster voice side of it. It still sounds like heinous if you close your eyes. If you close your eyes enough.
No, it was definitely Jessica Walters' voice. They put a little bit of a distortion effect on it, but it definitely sounded like her. So I enjoyed that. I wasn't expecting it. I thought once we saw her giant, it would just be like a random giant monster. But no, I think that's promising heading into the finale. Let's talk Eclipsa. Because that's maybe one of people's first things that they're thinking of is I've been saying a lot on this podcast, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop with Eclipsa. I'm waiting for her to, when's Eclipsa gonna be evil here? And she is presented, at least on the surface in this episode, as reacting emotionally to her daughter. Consistently, regardless of whether she's preventing, she's trying to stop Meteor, or whether she's stepping in and trying to stop Moon at the end. Her motivations are, aligned with Moon, but still emotionally reacting to Meteora being her daughter.
Yes, both of those things are very true.
But neither of those things are her being evil. So I think that, So I think that was a surprise for me.
It was a surprise for me too, but I think at this point the show is really deciding, you know what, we're gonna make Meteora the wild card, and Eclipsa is gonna be, obviously torn between having an allegiance to Moon and the butterfly family, but also, having this really complicated relationship with a daughter that is in large part the result of, the people that have been in charge of the throne for so long. So, but having considered that, I wouldn't have been surprised if she did turn on them, because she has a lot of reason to, with the fact that she really isn't so much. And her emotional conflicts, the only thing making it complicated, says a lot. So I think she's in the clear at this point.
Okay, and I don't know if I'd go so far as saying in the clear. I think we still have an hour of finale to go with.
And we still have a couple of threads laying around. We still got to get to that whole sneaking in the library thing and her disappearing for half an hour.
Yeah, that's the big one. She was still gone in that one episode from earlier season. I will say, this episode presents her very sympathetically and good. The one thing is she does step in and stop Moon from destroying Meteora.
Well, that's her daughter.
That's understandable because of her emotional attachment, but it's hard to not have in the back of your mind, just because we thought that Eclipsa was evil for so long. Is she doing this because it's her daughter, or is this her plan all along?
I don't think this could be her plan.
Not necessarily a plan, but does she have ulterior motives here?
I feel like the ulterior motives are getting more questionable as this season in particular has shaked out. But
certainly, certainly it's gone down.
In the next Saturday, we'll be so shocked, and she'll be straight up evil, and it will have been this really convoluted, sneaky plan that's been, seeded out all along. But I feel like that'd be a lot to expect at the same time. So
certainly it's not the favorite. The favorite at this point is for her to just be what she is. But she does say, she's explaining to Meteora what happened to her. She says, some terrible people locked me up, and especially their queen. But that is a bygone era. which I thought was super interesting, this portrayal, because for a second I thought that she was going to go back to normal Eclipsa, but no, she's like, bygones be bygones. Alex, what's your read on Eclipsa? Any validity to her still potentially turning on Moon and the Butterfly family?
I definitely think there's still validity. Like it right now, if they do it after this episode, now it'll count as a twist because like at this point, like on the surface, I'm totally convinced that Eclipsa is, innocent. She's just like being caught in the crossfire here. So if they manage to do the twist believably, I'll be impressed. And now it'll actually have full impact. At the same time, though, I do think that this season 3B has been pushing hard that Eclipsa is more of an emotional being. Like when Butterfly Trap, when we talk about her leaving her husband in the first place, it would appear to be just all passion. Like there's no logic behind it really. And in her interactions with Moon, she's usually just very like happy-go-lucky, take things as they come sort of thing. She hasn't really given off much of a planning personality in the style that like Toffee, let's say, in the past did, where everything was very logical. To me, Eclipsa just gives off like the entire opposite personality. So that would go really against the whole having ulterior motives, planning 5 steps ahead of what's going on right now. That, as from what we've seen of Eclipsa so far, I don't think that's in line with her personality.
That's a good point, and that actually leads credence to the idea, like, oh, well, why is, like, some of what she does, like, we can't account for her? But if, like, she doesn't think, like, if she doesn't think calculatedly, and she just kind of does what she feels like doing, I feel like that makes a lot more sense with her character. So maybe, like, her taking forever didn't make, like, not helping Moon when they were, like, down in the archives. She was just, like, kind of doing her own thing, but not because she was being sneaky. She's just, like, that's kind of the personality she has.
Like, from the very first moment we see Eclipsa, like, she gets unfrozen. The first thing, I need a chocolate bar. Like, that's
like, her priorities are so different.
Yeah, so, like,
that's a good point.
Like, obviously, Eclipsa could turn out to be a logical villain who's like, oh, I planned this the whole time, and, like, we'll go through a whole montage revealing stuff that we didn't notice. That could happen, but I don't think the show has been necessarily portraying that. I think it's been doing very strong at saying like Eclipsa is an in the moment girl, and this is why she's reacting so difficultly in these final moments of this episode where she's switching allegiances second after second.
Yeah, I think the constant portrayal as her being an emotional being is almost what makes me not believe her still, just because that doesn't sit like right in my mind as that's her entire personality. Like there's really not any part of her that's like calculating. I think that's still in there somewhere. I don't know if I'm basing that off of our biased perception of her that was presented to Star or what.
Yeah, because like, would you say there has been anything calculated by her so far?
I think there's a lot of stuff you could argue that could have been calculated if viewed from another lens that the show did not present us. Like the entirety of Total Eclipse of the Moon, basically. Total Eclipse of the Moon, I think, is in my mind was Eclipsa being calculating, but it wasn't presented on the surface. I mean, at this point, the unaccounted for time when Moon's asleep in that episode is either it was either a red herring or it's going to be revealed in the finale what she was doing there. It's like one of the two is going to happen. And I think that the same thing with her in this moment. I think that this at the end of Tough Love, on the surface, it seems like she's just reacting emotionally to her daughter, but maybe that there's a plan she's just trying to manipulate the situation, and she does end up like half killing Moon. That's pretty, without any blood on her hands, that's a pretty, if she is anti-Moon, that's pretty great, like for her. So I think there's some doubt there from me.
But like also just the final shot of that episode where she's just like looking up at the portal and then looking back at Meteora abandoning her, and she's just shell shocked. She's like, what in the world happened?
Right. Yeah, that's it's because they're going to
like
that. That's because
yeah.
Dylan.
I don't know if I want them to. I think what I've always said this season was that I'm expecting them to make Eclipse evil, but it would be better if they didn't. So I'm happy that they haven't done it yet. At the same time, what they've done with her is almost made her a non-entity at this point in the show. Like, how is she going to matter in the finale? I want her to be important. Like, this is the season of Eclipse. I want her to do something that matters. It doesn't have to be her being evil, although I think that's very much in play, and I'm kind of still expecting some sort of twist with her. let's say, I think a twist with Eclipse is definitely coming. It doesn't necessarily mean to be that she's just been super evil the whole time, but I think there's still going to be a shoe to drop with her. I just want her to factor in more than she has been. She's kind of just been on the periphery here in this season.
Like my dream would be like Moon stays over in the realm of magic, Eclipsa stays in Mentor's star and queenship. Like that would be like that would be great. But like I think that this episode, while it did milk a lot of the Eclipsa Meteora relationship, I do think that could come back. Like now that Moon is out of the picture. Like it's also Meteora comes out of this feeling, oh, Eclipsa played me, right? Like she tricked me.
Yeah.
So if Eclipsa is gonna try talking to her again, like, no, that wasn't my plan. Like this is actually my plan, maybe, or I don't have a plan. Like that conversation has to happen as well as at some point in the finale, I would think.
Yeah, I guess on
That's
the surface, Eclipse's role in the finale is just in relation to Meteora. I want her to have something on her own. Like, I want her to be big in her own way. This is certainly what we've done is not what we were expecting for her, and that's mostly a good thing. But we'll see what the finale does. We still have an hour of episodes to go. I'm not convinced. I'm an Eclipsa truther. I think that she's
You're a truther.
I think that she's still evil. Okay, we'll see. I think the best part of this episode was not something we've discussed directly to this point. I think the moment that really resonated the most to me was not anything in the last 2 minutes. It was actually when stupid Eddie brings them to the bog and is like, what was she eating? And then Eddie's like, she's been eating the souls of my family. And we pan up and we see these like floating bodies. The tonal shift. That's why this episode is really good. The tonal shift from stupid zaniness to really dark, serious nature. It's what we're frustrated by with the zaniness existing, but they did subvert it. Like, there's a specific tonal shift from the typical Star episode with the stupid mob stuff to bodies floating in the sky that have had their souls torn out with this dark music. I thought that was a really emotionally effective moment. Then the episode really turned from that point and was very dark from the rest of the way on.
Well, I find it interesting because I think from the very beginning of the episode, it does a good job at like going from zany to serious to zany to serious. Like at the very beginning, like Eclipse and Moon are having like sort of a serious conversation with the pigeons, and then Eclipse does her all trying to speak pigeon. You got Rich Pigeon showing up in a giant mecha robot being silly, but then you got him being angry, like get out, and like Moon and Eclipse are trying to deal with like people's anger around Meteora. So I think it goes back and forth throughout the episode, and the moment you mentioned with Eddie is another one of those moments where it just switches back and forth, and I think that's what this episode does so well, that it manages to balance both sides of the show throughout the entire thing. I don't think it's a moment. I think it happens from the very beginning.
Potentially. Certainly, it's maybe to a much lesser extent in the beginning of the episode, but yeah.
Yeah, like the Eddie moment is obviously where it's most obvious, but I think that it shows if you focus on like different points of the episode from beginning to end.
There's always the undercurrent of we're trying to find a giant monster that's destroying Muni, right? Like that's always there throughout the first half. I find that moment so great, especially because Eddie's this like stupid character who was in the stupidest episode of the season, and we bring him back, and then he's like the key towards it's like she's the new bog beast. Like it's like the show knows what it's doing with this zany to seriousness. Like it's that's almost why it's like even more frustrating, because it's like acting consciously and still choosing the zaniness, but at least like we are playing with it.
And like immediately after they pan up, he's like, well, I do actually miss everybody except Tim. Good job, Tim. Go away.
Yeah.
Like it immediately switches back to jokes. So like it's great. It's just
I do think that was this is one of the darkest moments of the show, though. Like we see these basically dead bodies in the sky. It's his family is dead. Like I think it is. You know, I don't know. Was there a darker moment, like killing Toffee? But yeah, it's.
Well, see, actually, like, I mean, I don't know if we remember this at all, but like, wasn't this the same thing with Hekapoo and all the Magic High Commission, that they were also had black eyes and floating, and Star was holding his balloons?
Oh, that's a good point.
They were legit dead.
Not like in terms of the tone, because I think that was also dark, but I think actually just connecting that in a plot perspective, like that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, like I don't remember exactly how they got that way. I know it's somewhat related to like the Fritz and all, but I don't think we're bringing that back.
I think he was Ludo Toffee was killing them, right? Like that.
Right. Killed them all. Yeah.
So like maybe it's the same magic, and that could come into play. That's interesting.
And that may be why Moon is going to the realm of magic, because Star somehow went to like an anti-dimension to fix things. So
I mean, I'm again not convinced she's acting consciously, but yeah, that could connect when she's there. But yeah, we'll see. At the very least, I'm excited to go back there because I love Deep Dive. That's my favorite episode. Post Battle for Muni, which is this season. But yeah, it's a lot of exciting threads heading into the finale. Other stuff from this episode we haven't talked about. I just thought this line was notable with Eddie's like, imagine the size of her mother, and Eclipse is like, her father deserves most of the credit.
Yeah. I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like kind of proud about it. She's like, oh no, that was the dad.
Yeah.
Good job, him.
Well, will we see your dad back? Probably not.
I
He's
don't
probably
know.
dead.
He might. Yeah, he's probably dead.
I mean, we need an Eclipsa flashback episode. Someone please
yeah,
get us.
I want to see that too.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we had the Meteora flashback, and we'll see. Probably not in the finale, but yeah. Were we excited to see Eddie?
I wasn't excited at first, but I do think he had a much better performance in this episode compared to the Bog Beast.
He was one of the highlights of Bog Beast, but yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if excited's the right word, but
yeah,
he sure was in it and did things.
And like his jokes landed a lot more. Like,
yeah, that's true.
The Tim thing was maybe his best line. Yeah. Last thing I think is Bobo is what I want to talk about, which is this doll that Eclipsa presents to Meteora from her youth, and I think Bobo ends up looking like our recently departed, I forget his name,
Gemini. How dare you forget the name of our fallen hero?
Does he?
So I think he looks like him. He has a heart in the middle and he has one eye. I think the implication is that Heinous
made Bobo
the opposite. Crafted Gemini to look like Bobo. Yeah. That's even more heartbreaking. His death in school now. Yeah, man, that's such a good moment. Gemini
and just the entire moment of Eclipsa sneaking up to Meteora, and like Moon is like, "What are you doing?" And she just shrugs, like, "I don't know."
That's like totally Eclipsa's attitude towards things.
Yeah, and then Ben's like trying to relate to Meteora, like, "Oh well, we can get ice cream." Oh, I hate ice cream.
Oh. Okay, what do you want to get then? Yeah,
like that entire exchange was like both funny and emotional at the same time. It's just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think you're like the Eclipsa stuff this season a lot more, Alex, which I think is fine. I think that's why you hire on Butterfly Trap. That's why you hire on this episode.
Yeah, and like I think there's one line near the beginning of this episode where like Eclipsa is imitating Rich Pigeon, like, "Get out of my house," and
that was super cute. I liked that conversation between them.
Yeah, like Moon is like, "Well, you got to take this seriously," and she's like, "I get jokey when I'm nervous," and like I feel so relatable to that.
Yeah, I did like the jokey when nervous line. Yeah,
because that's pretty much her character, right? Like she has this air of seriousness when like stuff is actually going down, but like for the most part, she takes things very lightly, and but that's what makes her entertaining to watch. Like people having to deal with her.
Yeah, we will see how we wrap up her character potentially in the finale. Although it has to be a favorite that she's in season 4 at this point.
Yeah, I hope they don't wrap her up. She
wrap up her arc. Let's say I don't think
doesn't really have. Yeah, I would hope there's more to her arc that she couldn't be wrapped up in another like long episode. That doesn't. I don't think that would be fair.
I mean, probably the favorite is Meteora is not in the show anymore after season 3, and Eclipsa is but to less of an extent, I would say. But it is possible that Moon's dead and Eclipsa's the mentor. I do think that's in play.
I don't think Moon's dead. She might
dead
be
or
like,
practically dead. You know,
yeah.
Chooses to stay in the realm. You know, written off the show. So.
What if Moon, Eclipsa, and Meteora are dead at the finale?
Ludo can come back! Yay!
Oh god, that's not the takeaway here. Is Ludo back? Yeah, no, I would say that my main these two episodes continue my frustration. I've said this a million times this season of the show not focusing on Star and Marco. Neither of these episodes are from Star and Marco's perspective. Marco's literally not in the episodes.
See, like I feel bad because like this and Butterfly Trap are my favorite episodes of season 3B, the ones that have almost no Star or Marco. But I guess it's just because Eclipsa is just such a great character that maybe. But even the Butterfly Trap like didn't have that much Eclipsa. It was more just the entire experience of it.
Butterfly Trap was a pretty unified cast episode.
Yeah, so like something about it. But once I guess this goes back to our whole discussion, like Star and Marco's dynamics also changing a little bit in season 3 as well. So that makes stuff a little difficult too.
Yeah, and there have been very few episodes where they've been the leads, and I think when they have, it's maybe stood out a little bit. That's why Marco Jr., I think, is going to stand out from the season, even though it's like a nothing episode to a certain extent. I think it's one of the only ones where they've been in it together. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I haven't been as attached to these, and Bam Ui Pati is another star in it, but Ponyhead's the lead. And the concept of this episode is very strange. It is we go through Ponyhead's trauma with her losing her horn as explored through her watching a Korean drama.
I mean, strange but relatable. Like, haven't we all gone through this at some point? Like, we bury ourselves.
We lost our horn. Yeah.
Well, we bury ourselves in media when there are things that we should be doing or should be thinking about, but we want to distract ourselves. And
that's the whole point of this podcast, right?
I think that's very relatable, and I think it makes sense for Pony's character. My problem is that, like, the setup to this episode was like legit consequences, and then everything was so neatly resolved at the end. And like Ponyhead didn't even like really come to a realization. She just like mimicked what she saw on this drama and decided everything was actually fine, and Star didn't have to talk to her about it. She just watched the show. And it just like that's what made me mad.
Okay, I don't agree. I think there's
consequences and there was no like character arc at all. And I thought like that's what was going to happen.
You could argue that she's not genuinely having a moment. It's just her imitating the show. But I do think that she displays the most amount of well, that's what you said. She's displaying the most amount of self-reflection at the end that I think we've ever seen from Ponyhead. I think specifically this line.
That's a very low bar.
Right. This line I think is the most introspective Ponyhead has ever been. She says, "I know I can be a lot to deal with, like all the time, like TikTok, every single second, but I really appreciate you helping me," she says to Star. She acknowledges she's a lot to deal with. That's
yeah, she does, but Star didn't really help her because she wouldn't let her, and then she just decided she was fine before Star got there.
Was trying to help her. You were too cynical about Ponyhead. Ponyhead is a precious baby, and so she's.
I am not cynical about Ponyhead, but like the fact that Star's friendship to Ponyhead was like the most pivotal friendship since season 1. I really went into this assuming it was going to be a great chance for them to bond and have like some communication and grow together, and that's not what happened. Ponyhead grew through watching this show, which seems a very superficial kind of, realization. And then she's got a horn back, so it's fine. And it feels like we gained nothing. It feels like we gained nothing from this episode in terms of characters, and I hate that. It feels like a wasted opportunity, and I'm mad about it.
I think that getting the horn back at the end is really what makes this a bit of a disappointing episode. Because like even the whole learning lessons from watching TV as opposed to talking with friends, like everybody handles grief differently, right? So like there are situations where like maybe a person wants to be alone and wants to figure things out on their own. And that's a okay perspective to try to portray. But then at the end, you just solve it like, oh, well, I just made you this, so that fits now, right? And hooray. So it doesn't really work in real life. You can't, like, just replacing your problem with something that looks like, I don't know, but the point is like that there is something to be done here with handling grief in different ways, or like different kinds of people handling it in different ways. But it ends up being your average zany Star episode. It's funny at parts, but you don't really get much out of it emotionally speaking.
Okay, let me present the opposite side of this horn situation, because I love what happened with Ponyhead's horn. I love it. And I get what you guys are saying with that she just there's no stakes and she goes back to normal. I think we are overemphasizing Ponyhead's role on the show. I don't think that...
Well, that's a bigger problem with this show. Ponyhead is useless as a character.
Ponyhead is not involved in the main plot, and she's not involved in the main emotional arc of the season. I think that this is, you could argue this episode doesn't properly deal with the situation, but I also think that it was never important.
They made made it important when they took her horn away and decided that was going to be a canonical part of the plot.
Okay, right,
So
but that wasn't even
have more weight. And
okay.
this did with it.
That wasn't
Also,
even
at
the
the end
biggest
of
part
Booth
of school,
Buddies-
though. That's the thing. Okay, yeah, at Booth Buddies, it's a 5-second thing at the end we need to deal with Ponyhead. But at school, the major parts are Meteora and Ponyhead's the periphery. They even joke about that being the case. So I think that it's kind of just more of the same with that. Like that, I don't think that was in the top 5 biggest moments of school was her losing her horn.
Okay, but if it's not a big thing, then why dedicate a whole episode to it? They've dedicated most 2 minutes of the next
because
Pony
it's a fun light episode and with an undercurrent of dealing with this unimportant plot thing. So that's what I'd say.
I do want to say I'm not a Ponyhead fan, of course, but I do think that this is one of the above average Ponyhead episodes just because it is admittedly funny in a lot of places. And I do think Ponyhead is toned down in this episode compared to previous Ponyhead episodes, in part because she's being portrayed as depressed and just watching a drama. But I do think that the toned downness of it helps a lot for Ponyhead, being on screen.
You're wrong that toned down Ponyhead is better Ponyhead. We need Ponyhead as extra as possible.
So if that's the case, you don't like this episode because, how can you have a toned down
Alex,
Ponyhead
I like all
enjoy it?
aspects of Ponyhead. All aspects of Ponyhead are valid, especially extra Ponyhead. And she is very extra at times. So, but let me talk about the horn because last year, this is a big plug to watch Mysticons. The show Mysticons had this great moment where they got their evil artifact stolen, and then they just basically 3D printed, replicated a new version of it, and it was functional again. And it's like, wow, this is great combination of modern technology infusing with this these kind of medieval fantasy type themes. And that's what I thought applied here too. I love when we just insert we use modern technology solutions to a unicorn horn, we 3D printing a new unicorn horn. That's so funny to me. That's so appealing. I just love this concept. I don't care how it relates to Ponyhead's emotional arc. I love the concept of this.
That's what I mean though. There are these great ideas and pockets, but when you look at the episode as a whole and what kind of meaning objectively you get out of it, I feel that's where it really becomes frustrating. Because I can't divorce I love that they have this concept of 3D printing with, so Pony had, we can effectively ignore that she has lost this part of her body now because it looks exactly the same and functions exactly the same. And I don't know. I feel that's a real missed opportunity.
To me, this is the best case scenario because the alternative was she just regrows the horn.
Or she doesn't have a horn and it has to learn to deal with that.
No, that's not possible because we have to keep her character model consistent. But this is she now her horn could fall off in the finale when she's fighting, and she could deal with the ramifications of that. It's not the same thing. So I think that this opens the door towards this being a recurring thing with her character.
It could fall off and someone picks it up and puts it back on. She makes a joke about, hey, don't touch my horn, and we're done with it.
That's great. Let's do that.
I feel that could happen. I don't want that to happen.
Let's do it. No, but I love the concept of printing the horn. I think it's a valid point to say that it's losing the stakes, but I would argue that this was never a moment that's supposed to be that impactful. I do think we probably shouldn't have had it be the cliffhanger of last episode.
I think that's more the issue, right? That they've been making this important for 2 episodes, and this is the episode you get. I do think that in a vacuum, this episode is pretty funny, and the 3D printing gag is a good gag. But if you're connecting it to other episodes, that's where the problems of analyzing this episode comes in.
I think the purpose of making it the cliffhanger was that in season 3B, they've tried to connect unrelated episodes and make them serialized, even though large portions of the season have not been serialized. So they're doing things like, Star and Marco in the Starco episode get a call about Ponyhead's horn. It's those 2 episodes where we saw the Star leaving and then we see with the moon ramifications of what happened after she left. So I think they're just trying to connect the plot stuff. You could argue it didn't work here.
Yeah, because Marco Jr. didn't have any connection, and that's fine. Yeah. And that's the most comparable episode to this, honestly. In terms of focusing on humor more than
right. I think both are probably the funniest episodes of the season. So let me. I enjoy Bam Ui Pati. I think it was not superb. I'm tempted to give the hot take that it was better than Tough Love.
Oof.
What?
I'm tempted.
No.
I certainly liked the ending of Tough Love, but I think that the first 5-6 minutes of Tough Love, I was enjoying the Ponyhead stuff more.
The first 6 minutes of Tough Love are funnier than the entire episode of Bam Ui Pati.
Oh, okay. I don't agree. Let me give you all the ways this episode is very funny. But first, we didn't even talk about the fact that, she's watching the Korean drama. We talked about it in relation to media, but it's very weird that she's watching a Korean drama.
It's not weird. That's what all girls of that age like to do, pretty much.
Don't watch Korean dramas if they're like. She's.
She's
not.
Why are you perpetuating the stigma that Western girls can't enjoy Asian media?
Many Western people enjoy Korean dramas. It's totally
look, it's great. I'm just saying, I've never seen this before in any of these shows we cover.
Well, that means it's become mainstream, which is a good thing. Like
exactly.
People who do this no longer feel like, I'm just like part of a niche. Or like, am I weird for watching stuff?
Yeah, that's good. I agree. That's cool.
Yeah,
I think it was them trying to portray Crew's interests and stuff, and it's cool that like Korea animated this Korean drama episode. I think that's cool too. Alex, why in modern animation are unicorns associated with Korean? Because Lady Rainicorn in Adventure Time.
I don't know. Now the one thing I'll give this episode, they have subtitles. That's already a huge bonus.
Yeah, when I was like, Lady Rainicorn, what? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this again?
Thank goodness for the subtitles.
Yeah, but
also a quick shout out to Agnes Shin, who voices the actress in that drama, and I think she also sings the outro song for the show for like Star vs. the Forces of Evil. So just good, she finally got a voice role in here.
Yeah, good for her.
She does the new outro.
Yeah.
That's not Darren? I thought that was Darren.
No.
No.
I think we'd said at one point that was her, so okay, we have a correction. Gotcha. Okay, what do we think of the Korean drama itself? Because it's this plot of the K-pop singer, and she has her a vampire's curse on her body bone, which I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like a translation joke, like a bad subtitles. Body bone.
Oh, maybe. I didn't think of that, but maybe
it's like, why is this is a weird phrase? And she can't sing, and then she falls in love with the vampire at the end. Yeah, I thought it was great.
It's a stereotypical soap opera plot, I would think.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, and then I like how it connects to everything that's happening. There's like a guy brings in a pizza, and Ponyhead's like, should I order a pizza? And there's like a guy already there. You're still here? I thought that was funny with the pizza stuff, and she needs to put in her tab. But
okay, yeah, let's examine her ID for a second. Her first name is Lalacia. Did we know this?
I think we knew this from the book.
I don't remember this being a thing.
Okay. Also, her birthday is August 4th. So
what is it? 2001. So that would put her. We don't know what year this is taking place. So
her address is Biggest Castle, Third Cloud on the left.
That's amazing.
And her eye color is gorgeous.
I agree. Yes, that's perfect. So, does she get to be? Since she's a princess, does she get to characterize her ID however she wants? Like, because it's the official government. I think she can choose here, and that was I thought that was good with the pizza stuff. More Ponyhead mythos. What do we think of bringing back Ponyhead's sisters in this episode? This felt like I'd made this point before, like Stars to a certain extent is turning into Adventure Time, where we bring in these unrelated random plot things from throughout the world and we cycle through them, and it's like, oh, we're cycling back to the Ponyhead sisters. We saw this in Ponymonium. It's time for them to come back. So I didn't like that it felt like that.
They were fine. They're
as one-dimensional as they were in the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have Asnis, Crystal, and Shonda and Shinda were there for a hot sec, and then Hornine replaced them. Who's our fave?
I still think it's the hornless one, just because she seems like the most logical.
Yeah, she's the most relatable and like down to earth.
Yeah, at the end, Hornine wants him to 3D print a horn for her, and Ponyhead's like, why do you always have to be at the center of attention, Hornine? Like, why? And she just keeps going. It's great.
What? Yeah. What? Like that's just the perfect ending for a Ponyhead episode. Just like being obnoxious to the mats.
I think Asnis was great here, and Crystal was very self-absorbed, I think, as usual. And then Shonda and Shinda were creepy. There you go.
Yeah.
I did like the line that was like, imagine you woke up one day and you were so beautiful, and then Stars was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? This makes no sense.
Yeah, disappointed no Shonda and Shinda singing, right?
There wasn't enough time.
No. Oh yeah, we had so much more vital things to get to.
Sure, they'll post it on their SoundCloud.
The Shonda Shinda SoundCloud. There's kitten donuts.
Those were
was that
cute.
a thing? Was that a thing earlier in the show?
No, it's a new
I
thing.
don't think so.
I would have remembered something that like disturbing.
Cookie cat?
Well, it's different. These cats are like meowing. They seem to have consciousness. That's what's like really messed up about it.
No, this reminded me of the sentient sandwiches from Adventure Time.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a very Adventure Time episode. Yeah, it's very random and weird. Yeah, we have most important character recurral is Seahorse, Ponyhead's ex-boyfriend from I don't remember what episode, but he was there before.
Demonsism, your favorite Tom episode.
I like
I
Demonsism.
forgot
Yeah.
was a thing.
Seahorse, and he's been he was Ponyhead characterizes him as like rebellious previously, and now he's like this corporate entity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's great here.
Something is like not right with that poor seahorse.
Well, yeah, I think clearly, yeah, he's been indoctrinated by Big Cell Phone.
Yeah.
Get your Seahorse as the MVP of the episode takes ready for the panel. All those will be accepted. I think he was great. And we have this gag of Star jumps on Cloudy, and she's like, "Cloudy was a lot further down than I thought he was."
Yeah.
I like that they dedicated time just
Just waiting for her to come back.
Classic like bottomless pit screaming gag. Yeah. Yes, that is the accurate amount of time spent on that. They 3D print pony heads to like throw out to distract Star. Then we have Ponyhead driving, and she like drives through Rainbow Road. I really like this.
I also like that he was able to drive for a total of 5 seconds before it crashed.
Yeah, then it crashed.
Yeah, it was great. Ponyhead's inspired by the show. The world deserves Ponyhead, she says.
Also, like earlier, there's a line that's like, "The entire world loves me, but they do not understand. I must live this curse." And like that feels like exactly a line Ponyhead has said in a previous episode. So it makes sense. She's like, "Oh yeah, I believe that, honey," or something.
Yeah.
Who says this? Crystal or no? Asna says this. So dramatic. We get it. You had an emotional journey and came out as a changed pony. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then
See, it's funny because she didn't.
Exactly. She didn't.
She did in her own mind, which is what's important. You guys are trying to under-empower Ponyhead, and she's
that's
had
not
this big
true.
moment.
We want her to have better development. I think that's doing her a favor.
She had better development in her own opinion, and that's what matters most. Okay?
Maybe.
Jeez. She says the TikTok line, appreciate Star helping me. Oh, and then, Seahorse is back and she says, "Oh my goodness, I thought you died." And he says, "No, I am unkillable." Which I thought was very funny. And,
is that a side effect of the demonsism?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
really
so.
concerned for him.
Oh, is that what he did? He had a demonsism? Is that why he acts like this? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think, Tom's unkillable, confirmed.
But Tom never went through
He didn't
with it.
finish. Yeah, he only got like the first thing done.
Oh, so you're saying we can kill off Tom. That makes me hopeful.
Not that they will.
3D print Thor, and Fave's sister puts it on. Who's Star? Aw.
That was sweet, I guess.
That was sweet. I wish there was more of that in the whole episode, not just right at the end.
Also, just like Star's attempts to help Ponyhead feel very superficial too. I guess that goes with their friendship. It's a very party all the time. Yay! It's like when they have to be serious with each other, it doesn't really come off well. Like,
Excuse me, Star and Ponyhead are very emotionally connected friends who have a deep, deep-seated friendship, and yeah.
It would be great to see that bond play out more in the showtime then. That's really true.
Yeah, like she just like shuts her laptop. It's like, you gotta move on. Like, great. Every depressed person wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Good job, Star.
And she's known Ponyhead for years. You'd think she would have a better take on how Ponyhead deals with certain things at this point.
Yeah. I mean, she's never lost her home before. This is probably new. But
yeah, that is, but
yeah. So there you go. There's Bam Ui Pati. I loved it. I didn't love it, but it was
I loved it. I didn't even love it. Wow, that's the take of the century.
You like Ponyhead, and I understand you want to justify Ponyhead episodes to exist. So I support your support of this episode. And yeah, it was an okay episode of the show.
These 11 minutes were better than the first 9 minutes of Tough Love. That's my take. That's not
Wrong,
that hot of a take.
but
Not
okay.
agree with that.
Not that hot of a take.
That is a hot take.
That's
That is
not
a
a hot take. Tough Love is very centered in its last 2 minutes, I think. And we'll
Tough
see.
Love is still the best episode
Of the season, I think that's a hot take, although there's no clear winner of the season. I think Schooled
No,
is
well,
clearly
I
better.
like my top three is Tough Love, Moon the Undaunted, and Butterfly Trap. Like you could put those three in any order, the top three, and I would be fine with it.
I would not have anything from 3B in my top 3 of the season. Not
Yeah,
even.
but this is just going back to what we're looking for out of the show. So
So we will hopeful for the finale, though. We've got, scrolling down, Divide and Conquer, coming up in the finale. Who will be on the throne at the end? Will Meteora be dead? What's gonna happen with Eclipsa? Is she gonna betray them?
who will
Probably
be
not.
divided and who will be conquered?
Oh my god.
Yeah, is that symbolic divide and conquer? Literal? How will Ponyhead play into the finale? She has like armor and she can't see in the preview clip. That's very funny, I think.
Will we divide her horn?
Oh, don't
make
wish
another
that. Don't wish more tragedy upon Ponyhead. Hasn't she
It
been
wouldn't
through
hurt
enough?
her. It's not real.
Yeah, it's not tragic. She can just 3D print a new one.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then she'd have
No
to find
stakes.
Seahorse again. That would mean we'd have to have another Ponyhead episode, though. So to get the next horn.
You don't have to have an episode for every Ponyhead development. Just
Exactly.
give her 2 minutes at
That's
the front of the star. Ponyhead
Alex, that's
episode.
not what the show has. That's not the position of the show up to this point. I think we have had to have a Ponyhead episode for every development. Yep, more Ponyhead's the star of the finale. That's what's happening. So, yeah, let us know what you thought of Bam Ui Pati and Tough Love. Which you like more? What was your favorite Ponyhead moment? Why is Ponyhead so great? What did we talk about in the first half of this podcast? Oh yeah, stuff that was important.
Well, why
what's
do you
gonna
want Eclipsa to be your mom?
What's gonna happen with Moon? Yeah, well, I forgot about that. That's the biggest thing happening. What's going on with Moon? And yeah, Eclipsa. Give us your hot takes on Eclipsa. Last chance to get them in before we learn her true motivations, probably, unless we extend this into season 4. And we will be back with a panel on these episodes probably to come. We'll see if anyone is willing to say that Bam Ui Pati is the better episode, and what ship is ship of the week. I don't think there was any, so we'll see. Find all that out at overlyanimated.com. Consider, or talk to us on Discord at overlyanimated.com/Discord. We've had some interesting discussion about these episodes already. And, consider supporting us via Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Michael, A.K. Wazowski. And thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John Ryan, Steve, Alex, Andy, and Hugh. We recently had a Miraculous Ladybug podcast go up. Check that out. So that was a lot of fun. And we're having more Final Space coming up soon, and a bunch of other stuff. I think there's Isle of Dogs discussion coming, so find all that out at overlyanimated.com. Thank you guys very much for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.